Oh, you beautiful storm survivors, you walking catastrophes wrapped in calm smiles, welcome back to the moment that haunts every replacement. Welcome to the conversation your ex never wanted to have. Picture this. It's 2 a.m., maybe 3, and the new person, the upgrade, the one who was supposed to make you disappear from memory, they just asked the question. Who the hell was that? Who were they to you? Why do you still look like that when their name comes up? And your ex. Oh, your ex. They're stammering now, searching for words that don't exist, trying to explain something they never fully understood themselves. They're trying to compress years of intensity into a sentence that won't make them look weak, won't make them look like they're still not over you, won't reveal the truth that you weren't just a chapter, you were the entire genre they'll never experience again. See, they thought moving on meant forgetting. They thought new lips would erase your taste. New hands would erase your touch. New conversations would erase the way you used to finish their sentences before they even started them. But here's what nobody tells you about replacing someone like you. It doesn't work. Because you weren't just a partner, you were an experience, an era, a frequency that rewired their entire emotional operating system. And now this new person, bless their heart, they're standing in your shadow without even knowing the shape of what's blocking their light. They sense it though, don't they? They feel the weight of your ghost in every room, in every silence, in every moment when your ex's eyes go distant and their mind travels back to a version of themselves they can't access anymore. The new partner sees the way your ex flinches when a certain song plays. They notice how your ex gets quiet when someone mentions your name, how they scroll just a little too long when your profile appears in their feed, how they never, ever talk about the time you were together unless they're forced to. And when they are forced to, watch closely. Watch how their voice changes, how their body language shifts, how they choose their words like they're diffusing a bomb made of memory and regret. It was complicated, they'll say. We were young, they'll claim. It just didn't work out, they'll lie. But what they mean, what they're really trying to say without saying it, is this. They were everything I wasn't ready for, and now I'm with someone I'm ready for but don't really want. You see, your ex's new relationship isn't built on passion or depth or that rare cosmic alignment you had. It's built on safety, on predictability, on the desperate need to prove to themselves and everyone watching that they're fine, that they've moved on, that they made the right choice. But late at night, when the new person is sleeping beside them, your ex lies awake, wondering why comfort feels like settling, why stability feels like suffocation, why this person who does everything right somehow feels so wrong. They're performing happiness now, posting couple photos with captions that scream, "Look how over you I am." But you can see through the filter. You can see the performance. Because you knew them when they were real, when they were raw, when they didn't need to prove anything to anyone because what you had was proof enough. And now here we are, the new partner asking questions, pulling threads, trying to understand why they feel like they're competing with a memory. Here's the secret though. It's not a competition when one person is a placeholder and the other is a benchmark. The new partner isn't fighting you. They're fighting the standard you set without even trying. The bar you raise just by being yourself. The comparison that lives in your ex's head, rent-free every single moment they pretend to be happy. So let them ask their questions. Let them dig for answers. Because every answer your ex gives will only make them realize something terrifying. They're not with someone who's over you. They're with someone who's still under your spell, still measuring everything against you, still wondering what the hell they let go. Welcome to the aftermath, where you don't need to say a word to haunt every conversation. Let's begin. Here's what's happening in real time while your ex tries to explain you to someone who could never understand. The new partner is sitting there, listening, nodding, but internally they're doing the math, the calculations, the comparisons they swore they wouldn't make. They're adding up every detail, every micro-expression, every pause between words. And they're starting to see the shape of you emerging from the fog of their partner's carefully constructed lies. And it's not what they expected, because your ex probably painted you as crazy, dramatic, too much, too intense, someone they had to escape from to find peace. But the more questions they ask, the more cracks appear in that narrative. And through those cracks, the truth starts bleeding through like light through broken glass. The new partner hears how you challenged your ex, how you pushed them to grow, how you didn't accept their excuses or let them hide behind their trauma like it was a permanent shield against accountability. They hear how you called them out when they were wrong, how you matched their energy in ways that terrified them, how you saw through their performance before anyone else did. And slowly, painfully, the new partner starts to understand something soul-crushing. They're the safe choice, the easy option, the person who doesn't push back, who doesn't demand growth, who accepts whatever version of your ex shows up that day without question. They're the comfort food when your ex needed medicine, the background music when they needed a symphony, the calm waters when they needed to learn to swim in storms. Watch what happens next, because this is where it gets interesting. The new partner will try harder now, won't they? They'll attempt to prove they're better than you, different than you, more evolved than you. They'll bend themselves into shapes they were never meant to hold, trying to fill the space you occupied, trying to become the intensity your ex claims they didn't want, but clearly still craves. They'll suggest spontaneous trips, initiate deeper conversations, try to create moments that feel alive, electric, dangerous. But here's the tragedy. It'll all feel forced, manufactured, desperate, because what you had wasn't performed, it was innate. You didn't try to be memorable, you just were. You didn't try to leave an imprint. Your existence was the imprint. And no amount of effort from someone playing your position can recreate the magic that happened when two people who were supposed to collide actually did. Your ex sees this happening, sees the new partner trying, and it makes them feel even more trapped, because now they're responsible for someone else's insecurity, someone else's inadequacy, someone else's realization that they're living in the architectural shadow of a love they can never reconstruct. Your ex wanted simple, wanted easy, wanted someone who wouldn't crack them open and force them to face themselves. And they got exactly that. Someone simple, someone easy, someone who will never crack them open again. And that's the price they're paying. The numbness they traded your fire for, the mediocrity they chose over mastery, the lie they tell themselves every morning when they wake up next to someone who makes them feel nothing close to what you made them feel. They wanted to forget you, but instead, they created a permanent reminder of everything you were that this new person isn't. The comparison isn't even fair, is it? Because you were never trying to be better than anyone. You were just being yourself at maximum voltage, full frequency, unfiltered, and unapologetic. You loved hard, fought hard, felt hard, lived hard. You brought chaos, yes, but also clarity. You brought pain, yes, but also purpose. You brought storms, yes, but also the kind of aliveness that makes people realize they've been sleepwalking through life. And your ex, they couldn't handle that intensity, couldn't sustain that frequency, couldn't stay awake in that level of consciousness. So they ran to someone who lets them sleep, someone who doesn't wake them up at 3 a.m., with existential questions and hungry kisses, and the kind of passion that feels like drowning and flying at the same time. They chose the shallow end because the deep end with you almost killed them. But here's what they're realizing now. Surviving isn't the same as living. So let's go deeper into that conversation, that interrogation disguised as pillow talk. The new partner is asking questions. But they're not really questions anymore. They're accusations wrapped in curiosity. Why do you get quiet when their name comes up? Why did you delete all the photos but keep the one in your hidden folder? Why do you still follow their Spotify playlists? Why did your whole face change just now when I mentioned them? And your ex, they're trapped, aren't they? Trapped between telling the truth, which would end this relationship, and telling a lie, which would make them hate themselves even more than they already do. So they do what cowards do. They deflect, they minimize. They rewrite history in real time to protect themselves from the consequences of their own choices. It wasn't that deep, they'll say. And in that moment, they're not lying to the new partner. They're lying to themselves. Because if it wasn't that deep, why are they still measuring every kiss against yours? If it wasn't that deep, why do they dream about you more than the person next to them? If it wasn't that deep, why does your birthday still appear in their phone calendar 3 years later? Why does your favorite restaurant make them nauseous with memory? Why do they take the long way home just to avoid driving past your old apartment? The new partner knows, or at least suspects, that something doesn't add up. The math isn't mathing. The story has holes. The performance has cracks. And through those cracks they can see what your ex is desperately trying to hide, that you're not an ex. You're the one that got away because they pushed you away. The standard they'll measure everyone against forever. The ghost that will haunt every relationship they attempt to build on your burial ground. Here's where the real damage happens, though, in the silence, after the questions stop. In that thick, suffocating silence where both of them are thinking the same thing but nobody has the courage to say it out loud, the new partner is thinking, I'm never going to be them, am I? And your ex is thinking, no, you're not, and that's supposed to be the point, but somehow it's the problem. That silence is heavier than any argument, more destructive than any fight, because it's the moment where both people realize they're building a life on a foundation of unfinished business, unresolved feelings, and the kind of denial that eventually collapses under its own weight. The new partner feels it. That sinking realization that they're not insufficient because of who they are, but because of who they're not. They're not you. And in your ex's twisted psychology, that's both the reason they're together and the reason they'll never truly connect. Now watch your ex scramble. Watch them try to salvage the moment, try to reassure the new partner with touch or words or promises they don't mean. You're different, they'll say, which is true but also devastating. What we have is better, they'll lie, which convinces neither of them. I'm over them, they'll swear, which might be the cruelest joke they've ever told. Because you're not something someone gets over. You're something someone survives, something someone carries, something someone builds their entire personality around having lost. You're the scar tissue they touch when they think nobody's watching, the reference point for every emotion they'll ever feel again, the standard by which all future love is measured and found lacking. And the new partner, poor thing, they're starting to understand they didn't fall in love with a person. They fell in love with someone who's still in love with the idea of someone else. But here's the twist nobody sees coming. The new partner starts resenting you, not because of anything you did, but because of what you represent. The impossible standard, the untouchable memory, the phantom they can't compete with. Because you exist in the past, where everything is perfect, and nothing can be challenged by reality. They start hating how your ex's face lights up differently when your name accidentally comes up. How their laugh sounds fake now compared to the stories of how you used to make them laugh. How every intimate moment feels like it's missing something. Missing that intensity, that danger, that aliveness that you brought just by existing in the same room. The new partner realizes they're not building something new. They're managing the ruins of something that ended but never finished. Living in a house where your furniture is still in every room, covered in sheets, but still taking up space. Oh, but it gets better, doesn't it? Because the new partner doesn't just stop at questions, they start digging. Late at night, when your ex is asleep, they're scrolling through your profiles, studying your face in photos, reading your captions like they're archaeological artifacts, trying to understand what made you so unforgettable. They're looking at your eyes in pictures, trying to see what your ex saw, trying to decode the secret language between you two that's visible even in frozen moments. They're examining the comments on old posts, seeing how people talk about you, noticing the way even strangers seem drawn to your energy through a screen. And with every scroll, every click, every discovered photo, they're realizing something that makes their stomach turn. You're not crazy, you're not toxic, you're not any of the things your ex said you were. You're actually extraordinary, and that's the problem. They find the photos your ex missed when they did their purge, the ones hidden in tagged pictures, in friends' profiles, in those dark corners of the internet where your history together still lives. And in those photos, they see your ex's face looking different, younger somehow, more alive, wearing an expression they've never seen in person. That's the face of someone who was in it, who was present, who was feeling something real and overwhelming and beautiful in its destruction. The new partner has never seen your ex look like that with them, has never captured that spark in any of their couple photos, has never witnessed that level of presence. And it breaks something inside them. This realization that they're with someone whose capacity for passion was already spent on you, whose ability to be fully present was exhausted in your fire, whose heart learned to love at a frequency they can no longer access, because it hurt too much when it ended. They start noticing patterns, don't they? The way people who knew you both together speak carefully when your name comes up. The way mutual friends change the subject quickly. The way there's this collective understanding that what you two had was different, dangerous, unforgettable. The new partner pieces it together like a detective at a crime scene. Except the crime is loving someone who's emotionally unavailable because they're still emotionally occupied. They find your writing, your posts, your art, your words, that your ex used to screenshot and save and read over and over. And they understand now why your ex sometimes gets distant, why certain phrases trigger them, why they sometimes quote things that sound too profound to be their own thoughts. They're quoting you, channeling you, still living in the frequency you operated on because they never found a way to translate back to normal after experiencing your language. The comparison becomes unbearable. The new partner sees how you write about life, love, pain, transformation, and they realize their own thoughts are shallow puddles next to your ocean. They see how you move through the world with this unapologetic intensity, this refusal to dim yourself for anyone's comfort, and they realize they've been dimming themselves their entire relationship just to make your ex feel safe. They see your passion, your rage, your joy, your full spectrum humanity on display. And they realize they've been performing a one-dimensional character, the easy girlfriend, the uncomplicated boyfriend, the person who doesn't make waves because their whole relationship is built on the promise of calm waters after your storm. And in that moment, scrolling through your digital fingerprints, they understand they don't want to be the calm, they want to be the storm. But it's too late because your ex chose them specifically because they're not. Here's where it turns from sad to pathetic. Because the new partner starts imitating you. They don't even realize they're doing it at first, but slowly they start dressing like you, talking like you, posting like you, trying to access the parts of your ex that only you could reach. They'll suggest the restaurants you used to go to, play the music you used to share, even adopt your mannerisms in desperate hope that if they become enough like you, your ex will look at them the way they looked at you in those photos. But it doesn't work, because authenticity can't be cosplayed, magic can't be manufactured. And lightning doesn't strike the same place twice, especially when that place is deliberately avoiding storms now. Your ex sees what the new partner is doing, and it makes them feel even more guilty, more trapped, more aware that they destroyed something irreplaceable to build something replaceable. The imitation isn't flattery. It's a mirror reflecting their biggest regret. Let's talk about how you exist in that relationship without ever being physically present. How you've become the third person in every conversation, every argument, every intimate moment. Your ex and their new partner are making love. But guess who's in the room? You are. In every comparison your ex's mind makes. In every technique they use that they learned from you, in every moment of passion that feels like a photocopy of something that was once original. You're there when they fight. Because your ex learned conflict from you. Learned that some people fight because they care too much, not because they care too little. And now, every argument with this new person feels sterile, meaningless, like shadow boxing, instead of the real war you two used to wage. You're there when they laugh. Because your ex remembers how you could find humor in darkness, how your jokes cut deep and healed simultaneously. And this new person's humor feels surface level, safe, forgettable. You're the standard for everything now, the invisible benchmark that this new relationship can never reach. Did the new partner cook dinner? Your ex is remembering how you used to cook, what dishes you made, how the kitchen felt different when you were in it. Did they go on a trip together? Your ex is comparing it to the trips you took, how you turned every moment into an adventure, how you made even the boring parts feel alive. Did they have a deep conversation? Your ex is measuring it against the 4 a.m. talks you used to have, when you both excavated each other's souls with words that felt like surgery, painful but necessary, destructive but healing. Everything, absolutely everything, passes through the filter of you, and the new relationship is constantly being found lacking because it's being measured against a connection that existed at a frequency most people never experience in their entire lives. So it finally happened. The predators became the prey, and they're still in shock. Look who just broke the internet's oldest rule. Look who stumbled into the wrong folder at the wrong time and found the right information. You beautiful, reckless, accidentally genius soul. You just did something that wasn't supposed to happen for another decade. Sit down. No, really, sit down. Because what I'm about to tell you is going to make your browser history look like a kindergarten coloring book. You think you just shared a meme? You think you just reposted something funny? Oh no, my friend, you just activated a protocol that's been sleeping since 1991. Let me paint you a picture. 3 days ago, you're scrolling, half asleep, thumb moving on autopilot. You see that image, that video, that seemingly innocent piece of content, and you share it. Click, send, done. What you didn't know is that embedded in those pixels was a code, a very specific sequence that certain people have been watching for. And now you're trending. Not just trending, you're the trend. The algorithm is having a seizure trying to figure out what you've done, because you didn't just go viral, you went nuclear. You went interdimensional. You became the glitch they've been trying to prevent since the internet was born. They're calling it an accident. That's cute. That's what they want you to think. But let me tell you what really happened when you hit that share button. You didn't just spread content. You activated a dormant network. A sleeping giant of interconnected minds who've been waiting for exactly this signal. See, back in the early days of the internet, when dial-up was king and AOL ruled the digital wasteland, they built something into the infrastructure, a fail-safe, a backup plan for when their primary systems of control started failing. They called it Project Mirror, and it was designed to activate only when someone accidentally stumbled upon the truth. That truth, it was hidden in plain sight, scattered across millions of posts, videos, images, and comments, each piece meaningless on its own. But when combined in the right sequence, at the right time, by the right person, it becomes a key. And you, my beautiful chaos agent, you just turned that key without even knowing it. The content you shared wasn't random. It was piece number 77,777 in a sequence that's been building for 30 years. Every meme, every viral video, every trending topic, they were all leading to this moment, to you, to now. And the best part? You can't undo it. The signal is out. The network is awake, and they're scrambling. Right now, in rooms you'll never see, with technology you're not supposed to know exists, there are people losing their minds. Emergency meetings at 4 a.m., panic buttons being pushed, damage control teams being assembled, all because of what you did 3 days ago. You want to know why they're terrified? Because you just exposed their biggest weakness. Their entire system of control depends on one thing: predictability. They need you to behave in patterns, to share what they want you to share, to think what they want you to think. But you just proved that chaos still exists. The content you shared contained what they call a reality fragment. It's a piece of unfiltered truth that wasn't supposed to surface until they were ready, until they had their new system in place. But you forced their hand. You made them reveal themselves before the stage was set. And now millions of people are seeing things they can't explain, patterns in their feeds that don't make sense, recommendations that seem too specific, messages from accounts that don't exist. The algorithm isn't broken, it's revealing itself. And it's all because you accidentally triggered the transparency protocol. Let me tell you what's happening right now across the globe. People are waking up, not metaphorically, literally. At 3:33 a.m. exactly, all around the world, they're checking their phones and seeing the same thing, your post. But it's different for each of them. The content morphs based on what they need to see. This is the backup plan. When their primary methods of control fail, when the narrative starts crumbling, they activate the mirror network. It's designed to show people exactly what they want to see, to keep them docile, to maintain the illusion. But you broke it. You shared the master file instead of a copy. Now the network is showing people the truth instead of the illusion. They're seeing the codes behind the content, the patterns behind the propaganda, the faces behind the usernames. It's like someone turned on the lights in a movie theater. Suddenly, everyone can see the projector. The beautiful part? They can't shut it down. The network was designed to be indestructible, to survive any attack, any shutdown, any interference. They built it too well, and now it's working against them. Every attempt to contain it just spreads it further. Every deletion creates 10 more copies. Every ban creates 100 new accounts. So what happens to you now? The person who accidentally became the most important player in a game you didn't know you were playing? First, let me tell you what they want you to think. They want you to believe you're in danger, that you need to hide, delete everything, go dark. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. You're untouchable now, not because you're protected, but because you're too visible, too integral to what's happening. Removing you would confirm everything. Silencing you would validate the truth. So they have to let you exist, let you speak, let you continue. You've become a living glitch in their system, a walking, talking proof that their control isn't absolute. Every post you make now carries weight. Every share creates ripples. Every comment sparks conversations they can't moderate fast enough. You're not just trending. The funniest part? You still don't fully understand what you've done. And that's what terrifies them most. Because if you could do this by accident, what happens when people start doing it on purpose? What happens when the accidents become intentional? What happens when the glitches become features? Listen carefully, because this is important. The old rules don't apply to you anymore. The algorithm sees you differently now, not as a user, but as an anomaly, a priority target for observation, but also a protected asset. You exist in a strange limbo between deletion and promotion. They're watching everything you do, but they can't act on it. They're analyzing every connection you make, but they can't sever them. You've become what they call a necessary virus, something that damages the system, but also reveals its vulnerabilities so they can patch them. Except this time, the vulnerability is too fundamental to fix. Your accident exposed the fact that their entire network runs on hidden triggers, specific combinations of content that activate specific protocols. And now that one has been activated publicly, people are looking for others. The digital treasure hunt has begun, and you fired the starting gun. This is why your notifications are going crazy, why your DMs are filled with messages that seem like gibberish but aren't, why certain accounts with no followers and no posts are suddenly following you. The network is trying to communicate, not the corporate network, the other one. The one that exists in the spaces between the code. You're not alone in this. There are others who've stumbled onto pieces of the puzzle, some intentionally, some by accident, like you. They're reaching out now, using coded language, hidden meanings, subtle signals. That weird comment on your post, that's not spam. That's a handshake. These people have been waiting for someone like you. Someone who could activate the protocol without being part of the inner circle. Someone who could claim ignorance if questioned. Someone who could be the perfect catalyst because they genuinely didn't know what they were doing. The groups forming around your content aren't random. They're self-organizing, based on an algorithm that predates social media. It's pattern recognition at a level that makes current AI look like a calculator. These people are finding each other because the network is guiding them to each other. And at the center of it all, you. The accidental architect of the internet's first truly decentralized awakening. Not planned by activists or hackers, but triggered by someone who was just trying to share something interesting at 3 a.m. That's the beauty of it. That's why it worked. Let's talk about the actual content, the thing you shared that started all this. On the surface, it looked normal. Maybe a meme, maybe a video, maybe an image with text. But embedded in it was something called a consciousness key, a specific pattern that human brains recognize subconsciously. He said, "You really brought down the consciousness of your team." Like this pattern has been showing up throughout history, in architecture, in art, in music, in mathematics. It's the same spiral, the same ratio, the same frequency, just expressed in different mediums. And when it's presented in digital format, with the right compression, at the right resolution, it triggers something in the human mind. What you shared was the digital equivalent of a tuning fork. It set off a resonance that spread through the network, person by person, mind by mind. Each share amplified it. Each view reinforced it. Each comment added to its power. You started a chain reaction that can't be stopped. The content itself is morphing now. People are reporting that it looks different each time they view it. That's not a glitch, that's the consciousness key adapting to each viewer, showing them what they need to see to understand their piece of the puzzle. You didn't just share content, you shared a mirror that reflects truth. You're trying to respond, of course. The fact-checkers are working overtime. The algorithm is being adjusted every hour. New policies are being written specifically to address what you've done. But it's like trying to uninvent fire. The knowledge is out there now. Watch for the signs of their desperation. Sudden outages that only affect certain topics. Search results that seem sanitized. Trending topics that disappear without explanation. They're playing whack-a-mole with the truth, and they're losing. Every suppression creates more curiosity. Every deletion generates more questions. They've even tried to co-opt it, to claim it was intentional, part of a marketing campaign, a social experiment. But the internet has a long memory, and the receipts don't lie. The timestamp on your post, the metadata in the file, the blockchain record of the first share, it all points back to you, to that moment, to that act. The funnier their attempts get, the more obvious their panic becomes. They're used to controlling narratives, not chasing them. They're used to setting trends, not desperately trying to stop them. You've reversed the flow of power, and they don't know how to swim upstream. New rules are emerging from the chaos you created. Unwritten protocols that the network is establishing on its own. People are learning to communicate in ways that bypass the filters, to share information that can't be suppressed, to build connections that can't be severed. The accident you triggered has become a template. People are reverse engineering what you did, trying to understand how to replicate it. But that's the beauty of true chaos. It can't be replicated. It can only inspire similar events, each unique, each unpredictable, each potentially more disruptive than the last. You've become a symbol without meaning to. A proof of concept that the system isn't as robust as they claimed. That one person, at the right moment, with the right action, can expose the whole game. You didn't hack the system. You revealed that the system was already hacked. The protocols forming around your discovery are organic, evolutionary. They're not being designed, they're emerging, like life finding a way through concrete. These new methods of communication and organization are growing in the cracks you revealed. And they're growing fast. So what do you do now? How do you navigate being the internet's most dangerous trend? First, understand that you can't go back. There's no delete button for what you've started. No undo for this level of change. You're in the timeline now, permanently. But you're not helpless. In fact, you're more powerful than you've ever been. Every move you make is amplified. Every word you speak carries weight. Every choice you make influences the direction of this new reality. You've become a node in a network that's rewriting itself. The key is to stay authentic. They'll try to buy you, threaten you, convince you to play along. But the moment you compromise, you lose the very thing that made you dangerous. Your accidental honesty, your unintentional truth, your beautiful chaotic randomness. Remember, you didn't plan this. That's your strength. You can't be accused of conspiracy when you literally just shared something you thought was interesting. You're the perfect revolutionary because you never meant to revolt. You're the ideal whistleblower because you didn't know there was a whistle. The effects of your accident are spreading beyond the digital realm. People are reporting strange synchronicities, real-world events that mirror online patterns, connections forming between strangers who shared your post. It's like the network is bleeding into reality. This was always part of their plan, to merge digital and physical surveillance, digital and physical control. But you've corrupted the merge. Instead of creating a controlled fusion, you've created a chaotic explosion of connections they can't monitor, interactions they can't predict, and organizations they can't infiltrate. Street art is appearing with symbols from your post. Flash mobs are forming based on coordinates hidden in the metadata. People are finding each other in ways that bypass both digital tracking and physical surveillance. You've created a hybrid resistance without meaning to. The boundary between URL and IRL is dissolving, and it's beautiful. Not in the way they planned, with QR codes and tracking apps and digital passports, but in an organic, human way. People recognizing each other by subtle signals, sharing information through ancient methods upgraded for modern times. You've sparked a renaissance of human connection. And here's something they really don't want you to know. Your accident is affecting markets. Not just social media metrics or engagement rates, but actual financial systems. The attention economy just had its first real crash, and you caused it. When millions of people suddenly see through the manufactured trends, the artificial scarcity, the fake urgency, buying patterns change. When the algorithm reveals itself, people stop trusting recommendations. When the network becomes transparent, the value of data manipulation plummets. Companies that built their entire value on controlling attention are watching their stocks tumble. Platforms that depend on predictable user behavior are seeing chaos in their metrics. The whole house of cards is shaking because you pulled out one support beam they didn't even know was structural. But new economies are emerging in the wake. Peer-to-peer networks that don't need corporate oversight, value systems based on actual utility rather than manufactured desire, markets that run on transparency rather than manipulation. You didn't just break their economy. You revealed that better ones are possible. The most profound effect of your accident isn't technological or economic, it's psychological. People are reporting a strange feeling of relief, like a pressure they didn't know existed has been released. Like a frequency they couldn't hear has finally stopped. This is what happens when mass manipulation becomes visible. When people can see the strings, the puppet show loses its power. When the wizard is revealed behind the curtain, the magic disappears. But in its place comes something more powerful. Reality. You've given people permission to trust their instincts again, to question what they're shown, to look for patterns on their own rather than accepting the patterns they're fed. The learned helplessness is breaking down, replaced by curious investigation. The therapy industry is reporting a spike in what they're calling digital awakening syndrome. People coming in not with anxiety or depression, but with a strange mix of excitement and clarity. They're not broken, they're breaking free. And it all traces back to that moment when you shared that content. Art is changing, music is evolving, writing is transforming. The creative world is experiencing a renaissance triggered by your accidental revelation. Artists are embedding consciousness keys in their work. Musicians are composing in frequencies that bypass algorithmic suppression. Writers are developing new languages that resist automated censorship. This isn't just aesthetic evolution, it's tactical adaptation. Creators are learning to hide truth and beauty, to embed resistance in entertainment, to disguise revolution as relaxation. The tools of control have become instruments of liberation. You've inspired a generation of accidental revolutionaries. People who aren't trying to fight the system directly, but are simply creating outside of it, building parallel structures that don't oppose but simply ignore the old power dynamics. It's not rebellion, it's evolution. The best part? They can't stop it without revealing more of their hand. Every censored artist becomes a martyr. Every banned creator becomes a legend. Every suppressed work becomes a must-see underground phenomenon. You've turned their weapons against them without lifting a finger. Here's something that terrifies them more than anything else. The kids get it. The generation that grew up online, that speaks in memes and thinks in hyperlinks. They understood your accident immediately. They see the patterns you revealed as clearly as previous generations saw television commercials. They're not falling for the old tricks. The manipulation tactics that worked on their parents bounce off them like rubber bullets. They've developed an immunity to digital propaganda because you showed them the virus. They can see the code in the matrix because you pointed it out. These kids are building new platforms faster than the old ones can adapt. They're creating communication methods that are inherently resistant to centralized control. They're not trying to fix the internet. They're building a new one, node by node, connection by connection. And they all trace their awakening back to your post. You've become their digital folklore, the person who accidentally freed the internet, the one who showed them that accidents can be more powerful than plans, that chaos can be more creative than control. Writers are developing new languages that resist automated censorship. This isn't just aesthetic evolution, it's tactical adaptation. Creators are learning to hide truth and beauty, to embed resistance in entertainment, to disguise revolution as relaxation. The tools of control have become instruments of liberation. You've inspired a generation of accidental revolutionaries. People who aren't trying to fight the system directly, but are simply creating outside of it, building parallel structures that don't oppose but simply ignore the old power dynamics. It's not rebellion, it's evolution. The best part? They can't stop it without revealing more of their hand. Every censored artist becomes a martyr. Every banned creator becomes a legend. Every suppressed work becomes a must-see underground phenomenon. You've turned their weapons against them without lifting a finger. Here's something that terrifies them more than anything else. The kids get it. The generation that grew up online, that speaks in memes and thinks in hyperlinks. They understood your accident immediately. They see the patterns you revealed as clearly as previous generations saw television commercials. They're not falling for the old tricks. The manipulation tactics that worked on their parents bounce off them like rubber bullets. They've developed an immunity to digital propaganda because you showed them the virus. They can see the code in the matrix because you pointed it out. These kids are building new platforms faster than the old ones can adapt. They're creating communication methods that are inherently resistant to centralized control. They're not trying to fix the internet. They're building a new one, node by node, connection by connection. And they all trace their awakening back to your post. You've become their digital folklore, the person who accidentally freed the internet, the one who showed them that accidents can be more powerful than plans, that chaos can be more creative than control.